and welcome to the Homebuyer Workshop. My name is Lauren Lovato and I'm a real estate agent in the greater Albuquerque area, and I am so passionate about helping homebuyers find their dream home here in the land of enchantment. I feel like the happiest homebuyers are the ones that are the most informed and prepared. Moving can be such an overwhelming process and there's so many moving pieces, but my goal is to help you navigate through that process to make your home buying experience as easy and as seamless as it can possibly be.
All right, so we're gonna switch the view to this view. I'll be located in the left bottom corner of the screen over here so that we can go through these slides together. So yeah, today is all about buying your dream home here in the land of enchantment. And my name is Lauren. Welcome. A little bit about me. I will be your real estate bestie at the end of this, and I am a home matchmaker. I help buyers and sellers win in real estate, and I am fueled every day by sugar-free lattes, workouts, and my three Labradors, Mia, Gia, and Maya. I know that's so crazy that we used to have one named Zia. We just have a thing with the Ias. All right. So in today's workshop, we are going to discuss everything that you need to help you get prepared for the home buying process. So there are multiple steps inside the home buying process, and to help you understand how the process moves along, I've put together somewhat of a flow chart so that you can see each step of the process. But right here is just a little overview of the plan. So today we're going to cover the basics of buying a home, and here is a part of that. So we're going to talk about the process of purchasing a home, choosing a realtor, the lending basics, defining your home needs, how to search for a home, putting in an offer and what it entails, negotiating, contingencies, inspections, closing day, new construction, and any other questions that come up along the way. All right, let me move to this slide. All right, so let's go through each of these steps and then I will talk about them more in depth after we go through them. So the first step is choosing a realtor. Before you begin your home buying journey, you'll want to hire a realtor to represent you during the search. I also want to note that hiring a realtor for a buyer is free of charge. The buyers do not pay anything to the realtor representing them. All of the real estate agents get paid at closing from the proceeds of the seller. So just keep that in mind. It's almost like going to court without a lawyer. You want to make sure that you have representation, especially if it's free. Next, get pre-approved. So your realtor will give you recommendations on lenders, or you are more than welcome to do your research and choose your own. And if you have friends that are lenders, you're more than welcome to go with them. Next, you're going to start your home search. Your realtor will set you up on a home search through the MLS, and you'll get updated listings sent right to your email. Next, you're going to make an offer once you found the house. Negotiations. So the seller will review terms of the contract and come back any terms that they want to change and vice versa. So I always say that there are 3 phases in the process of purchasing a home where you're able to negotiate. 1 is getting the offer accepted. 2 is doing inspections for negotiating for the inspections. And then 3 is the appraisal. Next, you're going to go under contract once you guys have decided on the offer and you both agree and all of the documents are executed and signed by each party. Once we go under contract, then your realtor will be able to send all of the executed documents. They will contact your lender and the escrow company and make sure that everybody has all of the dates and forms and purchase agreements that they need to start and open escrow. The next step are inspection and repairs. So your realtor will help you schedule your inspection within an appropriate number of days, and then you can request repairs if needed. Lender appraisal. So after the inspections, the lender is going to order an appraisal. Your lender will order the appraisal in order to get the loan for your home. Your home must appraise for at least the value that you're trying to borrow. And we'll go into that in more depth here in a minute. After that's the final walkthrough. The day before closing, you will do the final walkthrough of the home to make sure that everything is ready for you. And then the best part, closing day. That's when you get the keys. All right, so let's dive into this in depth here. Okay, so what does your realtor do for you? Here are just a few things that your real estate agent is going to do for you. Um, Number one step is choosing the real estate agent. This is such a super important part of the process because you want to make sure that you are getting the representation that you deserve. You want to make sure that your real estate agent is there for you every step during the process, that they are available to you to answer any questions that come up, because I guarantee you there are going to be so many questions that come up that you didn't even think about during the process. So you want to make sure that they also have your best interest in heart as well, and that they are getting you into a home that checks off all of your boxes and you're satisfied. I always tell my buyers, don't ever settle for anything, and make sure that your real estate agent is there to negotiate on your behalf and make sure that they have your best interest in mind. Also, make sure that you click with them and that you get along with them and that there's no personality clashes either. Once you've made your decision on who you are going to choose to represent you for your realtor, then let me go to the next slide. Then, oops, I'm sorry, I went a little bit ahead. Then we need to get our pre-approval letter. And so you'll need to get a pre-approval letter from a lender before you can start viewing homes. And if you need any recommendations for lenders, I've got 3 in particular that I work with often. They're phenomenal. They're some of the best lenders in the state of New Mexico, and they've personally done some of my own personal loans, and I can't say enough good things about them. So if you need any lender recommendations, I am just a text message away, a call away, and I can send those over to you. But your real estate agent should give you those recommendations. And of course, you are free to choose whoever you want to go with for your lender as well. Just make sure that you get along with them. I think choosing a lender is just as important as choosing a real estate agent. And you want to make sure, again, that they have your best interest in mind, that they are getting you the absolute best interest rate for your unique situation as well. So yes, so we'll need the pre-approval letter before we go shopping. The pre-approval letter is going to be our green light for us to be able to go look at houses. Because think about it. Would you really want somebody in your home, if you were selling your home, to be in your house if they weren't serious about purchasing it? That's kind of how this is. People don't really want you to be viewing their house, going inside their personal homes, and not really you're not serious about it. You don't have your pre-qual letter in hand. So this is a super important part of the process. Once you get in touch with the lender, they are going to send you a link to fill out an application, and it's going to ask you for your social security. They're going to want your pay stubs. They're going to want your W-2s. And so once you send all of that into your lender, they'll probably give you a call to go ahead and review everything with you, make sure all the information is accurate, there's no typos in there. And then once they go through that with you, then we know the exact number that you're pre-qualified for. So that once we set you up on a home search, which is the next part, you won't be looking at any homes that are outside of your price point. So that brings us to the next step, which is the home search. And so this portion is super important. Your realtor is going to get you set up on the MLS so that it can start sending you homes directly to your email, and you're not mindlessly searching on home browsing websites like Zillow or Realtor.com. The MLS is actually the site that feeds into those websites, and it updates every few seconds. So it's definitely the most up-to-date way to look at homes. As the buyer, I really think that you should take the time to understand what your needs truly are in a home. And in the buyer's guide that I've included in this workshop, I have a worksheet that you can print out and help you narrow down what exactly you need and want in a home. Some things that you might want to consider when starting your home search are location, size of the home, square footage, bedrooms, bathrooms, the living space. Do you care if it's an open concept? What about the outdoor space? Do you have dogs? Do you need to have a fenced in yard? What about the other people that are going to be living in the home with you? How many bedrooms do you need? How big of a space do you need? Do you have any special furniture? These are all questions that you should definitely sit down and address, and make sure that all of everything that you need in a home is going to be set up for you in this home search so that no other homes that are outside of your criteria are being sent to you. Once you have narrowed down what you want in a home, then it's time for you to start your home search. So I went a little bit ahead of myself. So definitely write down everything that you need in a home, and then your realtor will be able to put you up in a home search on the MLS. And you want to talk to them about your budget. You want to make sure that your real estate agent knows what you're pre-qualified up to and what you want in your home. So your agent can set up those results so that when you get them daily, you're getting the newest listings that are hitting the market. One thing to note that I feel like needs to be addressed is talking about going to open houses without your agent. So in the home search, you'll probably get some houses that will pop up and it'll say, hey, open house, this Saturday or Sunday from this time to this time. You want to make sure that if your agent is not going with you to the open house, that when you go to the open house, they're going to ask you a lot of questions and they're going to ask you, hey, where did you hear about the open house from? Oh, how long have you been searching for a home? Oh, are you currently working with an agent? And make sure to have some of your agent's business cards with you. And you can just say, yeah, I am working with an agent. Here's their business card. I'll have them get in contact with you if I'm interested in purchasing this particular property. Because once you choose your agent, you definitely want to stick with them. You don't want to bounce around an agent hop because it's disrespectful for everybody's time. And this agent is really going to try to help you, be there for you throughout the whole entire process. You want to make sure that you go directly to your agent with any questions that you have regarding any particular properties that you might be interested in. All right. Next step is making an offer. So once you found the one, it's time to put in an offer to purchase your home. And so your agent is going to run comps on the properties that have recently sold within the home's neighborhood so that you guys can sit down and strategize on how much you're willing to offer on the home. And, together, you and your agent will go through each page of the contract of the purchase agreement and discuss your offer in depth. And if there's any contingencies that you might have, as well as any additional details that you want to add into the contract, like say you really like their kitchen dining table, and you want to ask for them to go ahead and leave that with the sale of the home, you can add that in there. And it's also a good idea to remember that the more contingencies that you put into a contract, unfortunately, the less favorable your offer is going to be, because it's more of a risk for the seller to accept an offer that has a contingency. But just note that anything in real estate is negotiable. And when I say contingency, contingency means that if the condition is not met or the outcome is a certain way, then the buyer has the option of backing out of the contract. So right now in the market, we're seeing it right now as I'm recording this is September 21st, 2023. We are still in a seller's market. And so the most common contingency we're seeing in the market is having the buyer sell their current home in order to purchase a new one. And so even though it's a seller's market, the market has shown us that homes are sitting a little bit longer than they were a year ago. And so sometimes if you're able to go ahead and sell and not have to sell your home before you put your home on the market, that's going to be the best bet. Because if you need to sell your home and it's not listed yet, or it's not even under contract yet with a buyer, it's going to be more of a risk for the seller to want to go ahead and accept your offer, because you don't really have the ball rolling on your end with getting your home under contract when that's what you need to do in order to go ahead and move forward to purchase a new property. So just keep that in mind if you potentially need to sell your home before you purchase a new property. There's also something that we can do to help make the transition from one home to the next a little bit smoother, which is adding in a pre-occupancy agreement or even a post-occupancy agreement. So if you guys need to add that in there, you can put an agreement in that says that you'll pay X amount of dollars per day, or maybe do a deposit that can be refundable at a successful closing, so that if you need to get into your new house before you sell your other house, there's ways to work around that. And we've got some flexibility there. And in addition to the contract, there are some other things that you will need to include with your offer as well. And so you definitely will need to provide a copy of your pre-approval letter. I always recommend having your lender write you an approval for the letter an approval letter for the amount that you are offering instead of the full amount that you're approved for, to help keep some negotiating power there. Because if you're making an offer that's lower than the list price, or you have, higher purchasing power than what you're offering, they'll likely come back and do a counter offer and ask for more. And in addition to the pre-qual letter, we are also going to need to submit an earnest money deposit. And typically we're seeing people submit earnest money deposits around $500 to $1,000. I typically see $1,000 a little bit more. This is a good faith deposit that you give to the seller up front. They don't take it from you unless they accept your offer and that we're actually under contract. So typically in the contract, we'll say, okay, the buyer will submit the earnest money deposit within 3 days after the date of acceptance, which is the date that we go under contract. So an earnest money deposit is a good faith deposit. You do get it back. Again, you see it at closing, and it goes towards your closing costs. Another thing that we might need to pull out of our toolbox if needed, and if it's a competitive house, is a TOM fee. So TOM stands for time off market fee. And this is, like I said, just another tool that we use to be a little bit more competitive. And this is just a deposit that you give to the seller that allows the seller to take it off the market. And they don't take this money from you, just like earnest money, unless you actually do go under contract and that they penned it in the MLS. Typically, this is non-refundable and it just goes straight to the seller. But if you do need to get it back, we can put verbiage in there in an addendum that states that the TOM fee can be refunded at a successful closing. So we do have that option there as well. I know that sometimes this can be a scary thought to just give, a check to somebody and not know if you're going to see it again. But if something goes wrong in the transaction, and say there's something that you find out in the inspection that's a deal breaker for you, you're able to back out of the contract and you are able to get your earnest money back. The only time we can get our TOM fee money back is if we do put that verbiage in the contract. Otherwise, it's non-refundable. But if something does happen that goes wrong, you're definitely going to be able to get your earnest money back. And if the loan defaults, that's another instance where it can be refundable. One more thing I want to mention about writing an offer that we are seeing a lot more in today's market is using escalation clauses. And so I've had a lot of success with this for my clients. And it's basically this addendum that we put into play where, hypothetically, say that you're offering, $310 on a property. $310,000 on a property. You can put an escalation clause in there and say, okay, I will offer this 310, but I will beat any offer by X amount of dollars, typically $1,000, up to the purchase price of, let's just say 320, right? So then you've got that $10,000 gap. So if there's multiple offers and an offer comes in that's at 311, you would automatically beat their offer by $1,000. Therefore, your purchase price would be 312. Hopefully that makes sense. But it's almost kind of like an insurance policy to make sure that your offer does get accepted within your pre-approval means. There are so many tools that we can pull out of our toolbox in order to get an offer accepted. And I definitely know everything by a case-by-case basis. I also think that your realtor should do their due diligence and make sure to call the listing agent and see if there's currently any offers on the table, and if there's anything in particular that the seller is looking for in an offer, to make sure that you submit your best and strongest offer that you can right off the bat. Okay. So once we've got an offer accepted, we've got all of the executed documents and everybody is in agreement on all of the terms, then your agent is going to help you through the next steps. And so your agent is going to send all of the executed paperwork, all the documents to your lender, as well as the title company, to make sure that they have all of the dates in line and that everybody is on the same page in the same timeline. Once they get all of those documents in, then that's when they're going to push the loan forward into underwriting. That's when the escrow company is going to order all of the preliminary title work. And then our job is to go ahead and schedule an inspection. Let me move on to this slide. Okay, so on your contract, you're going to have a specified number of days that you would have for your to have your inspection completed within. And typically the inspection should have to happen within at least 7 days from the date that we go under contract. And if you need any recommendations on local inspection companies, I always recommend my clients go with JCDC because they're super affordable. They're extremely thorough. And I always recommend that you're present during inspection day so that you can physically be there to point things out and have the inspectors there to answer any questions that might come up. JCDC is phenomenal, and I promise you that you're going to want to be their best friend the day after they have the inspection completed. They are just so awesome. But like I said, your agent should give you some recommendations for inspection companies, but you are always welcome and definitely encouraged to do your own research when it comes to choosing your inspector to make sure that they, check up all the boxes that you need for the inspections that you want. I recommend always to my clients to definitely get a full home inspection, a sewer scope inspection, as well as a termite and dry rot inspection. I feel like those are the bare minimum. I always recommend to be super thorough. And even if you are waiving inspections and you're only getting them for your own knowledge, I always recommend to get inspections so that you know exactly what you're walking into with the purchase of your house. Your inspector will have the report to you as quickly as possible, and it's typically within 24 hours. If you decide to go with JCDC, they'll get it to you that same day. And then together, you and your agent will read through the entire report and you will put together a list of the repairs that you were requesting to be fixed by the seller before you take ownership of the home. And so you've got two options. So once you get all of those items that you want fixed, you can either ask for the seller to fix them, or you can ask for a seller credit to be given at closing so that you can go ahead and hire your own company and fix them yourself. I recommend if you are going to ask for a credit from the seller that you contact a repair estimate company first. So that way they can give you a list of all of the items and how much each of those items cost. So that way when you do send that over to them, you actually have proof like, hey, I'm asking for this amount of money because this is how much all of these items cost. So I recommend if you do a seller credit to definitely get an repair estimate along with that and send that to the seller as well. Along with inspections, your lender is also going to order an appraisal. And an appraisal is an unbiased professional opinion of the value of the home that you want to purchase. In order for the loan to be approved, if you're getting a loan, the assessed value of the home must be met or exceed the offer that you agreed on with the home seller. So if the appraisal comes in lower than the purchase price, we've got some options here. So one, the seller is just going to have to lower the purchase price to the appraised value. The other option is if they're not going to do that, then the deal would just terminate. The other option is somebody needs to pay the difference between the purchase price and the appraisal price. And so just note that if the buyer is coming in with that gap and they're paying the difference, they'll have to come up with that difference in cash at closing. So, a lot of people are waiving appraisals or they're agreeing to pay the purchase price regardless of what the appraised value comes in at just to get the home. But all of this is on a case-by-case basis. All of this is negotiable. And so you can even have the seller come in and pay the difference if they still want to have their purchase price be at a specific amount, or you guys can meet in the middle as a buyer and seller and come up with the difference equally. It's all negotiable and it's all by a case-by-case basis. If your appraisal comes in higher than the purchase price, that's awesome. You just got free equity by just purchasing the house. And of course, if the house comes in at appraisal, we're golden and we can move forward with the loan process. Once we get past the inspection and the appraisal, then we are headed to the final walkthrough. And so the final walkthrough is typically going to be the day or morning before your closing. And you and your agent will do one more final walkthrough of the home. And you want to do this as close to the closing as possible. So during this walkthrough, you want to make sure that nothing new is damaged and everything that you agreed on in the contract is conveyed, such as, all of the appliances. If you think that you're going to get the washer and dryer, those washer and dryers better be there. You know, if the refrigerator needs to be there, everything that you agreed upon in the contract needs to be in the home. You want to make sure that all of the repairs that you requested have been done, and just making sure that it's in the condition that you expected it to be in. If you are satisfied with the final walkthrough, then we're headed to the closing table, which is the most awesome part of the whole process. And so what to expect for closing day. So your agent will let you know the address of closing, when it's going to be scheduled for. I always recommend scheduling closing as early as you possibly can in the morning so that it can fund and record the same day and that you can get the keys the same day. They're not going to want to give you keys until they got their money, right? So we want to make sure that it funds and records. If you decide to close at 5 p.m. that day, you're probably not going to be able to get the keys and get into the property that day because it's not going to fund and record until the next day. So just keep that in mind. Try to schedule closing as early as you can in the morning, and then bring your valid driver's license. And then you want to make sure that you get with your lender to go through the entire settlement statement so that they can go over all of those figures with you. And then they can tell you the amount that you need to bring to closing for cash to close. I always recommend doing a cashier's check. You can always do a wire transfer of funds, but I think it's, in my opinion, a little bit faster to just go ahead and get a cashier's check and bring it to closing that day. That way they can go ahead and get the ball rolling right away. So on closing day, you will be with the escrow officer that you've been in communication with, and they will sit down and go page by page through every single dot and line and everything, a part of that whole entire closing packet with you. And then I will be there, or your agent will be there with you to celebrate. And yeah, once you sign all of the paperwork, make sure you get your wrist ready because it's a lot of paperwork. But after all the paperwork is signed and the money has been transferred to the seller, and we got that green light, got the email or the call that it's been funded and recorded, it's time for the most exciting part. You are now an official homeowner, and the keys are going to be handed over to you, and you are ready to start moving into your new home. It's so exciting. It's one of the coolest feelings in the world to be handed those keys and to know that you freaking did it. You bought a house. One other thing to note that I forgot to mention is make sure that a few days before closing, you contact all of the utility companies to make sure that all of the utilities are moved over into your name. So that way there are no surprises. The water doesn't get shut off or the electricity doesn't get shut off when you're actually moved into the house. So that's it. That's the process in a nutshell. There is a few things that I want to go over, some miscellaneous items that I wanted to cover, and that was kind of talking about briefly neighborhoods. And so I just want to give you guys a general idea of the neighborhoods that are around the greater Albuquerque area. So I mostly service the west side of Albuquerque, Rio Rancho, and Corrales, and the Los Chaves Valley area. I love the east side. I love the East Mountains. My office is located in Corrales, so I'm very accessible to this side of town, this side of the river. So briefly, I'll just kind of go over some specific areas. So the northeast side of town, I will say, it's an awesome side of town. Honestly, I love the west side a little bit more because it's just closer to my heart, and I grew up on this side of town. But east side are going to be a little bit more cookie cutter homes, I guess you could say. They're going to be older properties, and you're going to see a lot of them be flipped. But it's a great side of town. There's great schools over there. It's close to the freeway, and you're going to be anywhere on that side of town within 12 to probably 15 minutes. On the west side of town, they're going to be a little bit newer homes. You're going to get a little bit more lot acreage for the price that you're paying. The grid, if you looked at the east side versus the west side on a grid, the west side's kind of all over the place with the roads. And the east side, you can tell it's a little bit older because it's literally in a grid. So that's somewhat of a difference. And then Rio Rancho, oh my gosh, I feel like you get the most bang for your buck in Rio Rancho because you get half an acre to an acre of property typically with the houses here in Rio Rancho. It's a little bit more quiet. It's a little bit more spread out. I just think that it's you're getting more for your money in Rio Rancho. And then Corrales just has my absolute heart. I will have to do a whole entire other, video on how much I love Corrales, but the village of Corrales, it's a little village, and they have so many just cute little restaurants, and we've got Harvest Festival and the Christmas parades and the 4th of July parades, and people, they walk their horses, they ride their horses on the little ditch banks. And then there's also little areas the little trails that you can walk your horses or go on bike rides straight to the Bosque. So the Bosque, the river is right there, and it's super accessible. And then you've got Bernalillo, which is a little bit more north of Rio Rancho. And so those are the areas that are more so the greater Albuquerque area. Los Lunas, I grew up in Los Lunas. I'm very familiar with that area. I help a lot of people down there as well. And it's definitely growing. The village, it's another little village. The village of Los Lunas is definitely growing. We've got Facebook over there. We've got an Amazon warehouse over there. So that area is definitely growing. West Los Lunas for sure. And then south of Los Lunas, you've got Los Chaves, and then you've got Belen and Veguita. So all of those areas are going to be more rural. Any home, this is really cool, any home in Los Lunas, you can use a USDA loan for, which is, I think it's like 0% down with the USDA loan. But again, talk those specifics and that financial game plan with the lender that you choose. But there's so many options. I am so passionate about Albuquerque and about helping people build roots here. It is just the coolest thing. And I love working with out-of-state clients. I feel like they just have so much excitement for their new chapter and their new journey to start their life here in the greater Albuquerque area. Another thing I wanted to mention is new construction. So if you're interested in new construction, I always recommend going and setting up an appointment with your realtor to go with you to go talk to the new build sales reps, because you want to make sure that you've got somebody there to represent you and your best interest. You don't want to basically go and play for the team that is the opposing side. You want to make sure that it's almost like I said, going to court without a lawyer. You want to make sure that you've got the correct representation and that they are looking over all of these documents. That's our job. You're not going to know some of the legal jargon that are in these documents, and you want to make sure that you've got somebody advocating for you. So if you're interested in new construction, sometimes they've already got homes that are ready to go, and you can typically move into them as quickly as you could a regular pre-built home. And then sometimes they've just got the subdivision up and they're starting to build. So you can decide on what lot you want. You can put your deposit down, and then you're able to go ahead and customize specific things within your home. But I always say, make sure that you go with your real estate agent to a new build construction site. But other than that, that's all I've got for you today. I'm going to go ahead and switch it over to the other camera view.
Oh my gosh, we made it. You are now a home buying pro. Well, maybe not yet, but you're super close. We just went through a lot of the home buying process. So if you are ready to get the ball rolling, and if you are ready to start your home search, I would be so thrilled to work with you. Let me know, and I am ready to rock and roll with you whenever you give me the green light. Thank you so much for spending the last half hour with me learning the ins and outs about the home buying process in the greater Albuquerque area. If you have any questions or if anything pops up, I am available via email. You can call or text me, and I'll probably check in with you within the next day or so to see if there's any specific questions that came up. But in the meantime, I am only a call or text away, and I am so excited for your next chapter in moving to Albuquerque and purchasing a home here, and I would be thrilled to help you. We'll chat soon. Thanks so much for hanging out with me.